Well, hello again. Welcome to Success Through Connections. Today, I want to talk to you about how you build those connections. It starts with the desire to wanting to make more connections, because let's face it, the more connections you have, if you go deep with those connections and nurture those connections, you're going to get more customers. And that's what we want, right? I'm a realtor. I'm always looking for new clients and referrals. So let's start today with talking about how do you get those connections? And I do multiple things. I'm going to give you a few tips today. One is you can meet people virtually, just like we're doing now on a Zoom call. I'm in several Zoom groups, and when we meet, because we meet from all over the country, we trade information. And I've learned that there's one person in one of the groups who's an absolute expert at IT. So whenever I have an IT problem, she's the person that I go to. She's my go-to IT person. And who else do I go to? Well, I found a graphic designer. The one I've had for 15 years is retiring. So I needed a new graphic designer. And I didn't have to go to the Philippines or India or any of these countries where the grammar gets a little skewed. So I found somebody right here in one of my online groups. And that's where I made that connection. So there's all kinds of things you can do by meeting virtually, but it does require a little work. You have to get on the calls and get to know people a little bit. The other way is in-person networking. Now, I know that when I go and speak to groups and I ask them who likes to go to networking events, usually there's only a handful of people because it's uncomfortable. I know that when I walk into a room and I don't know a lot of people, it is uncomfortable. So I play a head game. And what I say to myself is, okay, pretend you're the host and go up and introduce yourself to somebody, find out all you can about them, and then go find some more people and see if you can introduce them to each other. And you be the connector rather than me taking, I'm giving. So that's one thing you can do or rather two things you can do: in person networking, and you can go to virtual networking. A lot of times on those virtual calls, I'll get a member of the group that says, "Hey, Zelda, I'd like to talk to you further. Let's have a virtual coffee." And so my first reaction when that started happening was, what do they want? But they didn't want anything other than just to get to know me better, which was awesome. I try to help them as much as possible. One of them was like to talk about networking, and that was her space. And so we collaborated a little bit, exchanged some information, and we were able to help each other, which was wonderful. Other ways that you can network to get to know people, to make those initial connections, not nurturing it, not the follow-up. We're just talking about those initial connections. If you're in a community that has a tennis league, perhaps you could join the tennis league and you get to know people that way. As a realtor, we have a realtor who really is the mayor of her community. They know her there. And whenever somebody wants to sell a house, it's usually that woman that works with us. She gets those calls. She's been known, and she's known on her tennis league as the go-to realtor in that community. Just like when I have a dog, her name is Poppy. I talk about her kind of often, especially on my social media. So when I'm ready to take her for a walk, usually I'll take her to the dog park because she's very hyper and she likes to run around and chase other dogs and play rather than just take a walk. So I'll take her to the dog park. And when I go to the dog park, I'll usually wear a t-shirt and it will say something like, "Real estate is my hustle." I have another one that says, what does it say? It says, "I'm all out of listings. I need yours." And I wear these different shirts all the time, and people know that I'm the realtor. Can you wear a shirt like that when you're out taking a walk or going to the grocery store or whatever? Because I'll tell you what happens. As I'm at the dog park, quite often somebody will come up to me and say, "Zelda, I have a question about real estate. What is with all this new lawsuit?" Or what's going on in my community? Or how's the real estate market? Or whatever multitude of questions they have. And they often will say, "Well, My neighbor down the street is going to sell their home. They're talking about it. I wanted to introduce you to them and refer you. I'm all game for that. And a lot of times they'll just say, my daughter's moving to town. Can you help them buy a house? Absolutely. And then other times they'll tell me, I have one client who told me, my son just graduated from college in New Jersey, and he has a condo there. We don't know a realtor in New Jersey that's really, really great. Can you help us out? Well, I'm connected to thousands of realtors all over the country, and through one of the networking groups that I'm in that is all about the realtor. So I will say, give me 48 hours and I'll get you somebody that's a really good. And I will make calls to my contacts and I vet them. I tell them right off the bat, look, you're not necessarily the one they're going to choose, but let's talk a bit. And I get a feel for the other realtors and understand who they are and what they work like. Because I'm looking for somebody who kind of has my goals and has my ethics, which are to work really hard for my customers. So you can meet them that way as well. And then I mean, that's what happens. It's like I have a lot of friends who are younger and they have children who are on sports teams, like maybe it's the school sports team, or maybe it's a little league team, the community ones. Maybe they're on a soccer team, a baseball, a football, whatever it is, or maybe the little girls are in dance or whatever it is that they're into, cheerleading. And what I'll tell them to do is when you're at those games and you're sitting next to somebody, strike up a conversation with them about your children, of course, because that's authentic. And that is the key word, is being authentic. So I'll say to them, well, when you're talking to them, say, you know what? Our family's going to go for pizza after the game. Would y'all like to join us? And that's how it starts. You're meeting them at something that you actually enjoy doing. And if you do that, you meet them where you're comfortable, it'll be a lot easier to start building those connections. I was at an in-person networking event recently. And a woman comes up to me, her name is Jennifer, and she said, Zelda, there's this fella here I'd like you to meet. He's not at this meeting, but his name is Bob, and he works with assisted living facilities, helping people transition to assisted living, that type of thing. I think y'all probably have a lot in common and could probably help one another. Thought, absolutely, because hey, they might have to sell a home, or maybe I can help them in some way, or at least give them advice. So she text messaged the three of us and we started a conversation and started to get to know one another and just starting to nurture that connection. We really didn't know each other, but we were talking a little bit. A couple of weeks passed and I'm invited to a party. And it was a business party though. Okay. So it was business. And I walk in and I notice in the corner, there's Bob. He's sitting in the corner, having some appetizers and a drink, and he appeared to be alone. So I thought this is the golden opportunity. So I went over there to him and I said, Bob, I'm Zelda. So now he met me in person and he gets up. Oh, it's so nice to meet you. He was so happy to meet him, and I was happy to meet him. So we chit chat for about a good 15 minutes and we got to know each other even better. And the next thing I know, he's inviting me to an event for about Alzheimer's. And there I'll have an opportunity to meet all kinds of more people. So I haven't been to the event just yet, but we're slowly making progress. And it was just by coincidence that I met him at this mutual friends party, which was pretty cool. So that's how you start. You start by doing a networking event in person or even virtually, getting out there, doing the things that you enjoy doing. One of my favorite new expressions is have fun and the funds will follow. So get out there and start networking, whatever way it makes you comfortable, because networking does not have to mean going to a business networking. It just means going out and having fun. So if you like to go do pickup ball, like basketball or what have you, if you go to your children's sporting events, walk the dog with a group of people or go to the dog park, wine tasting, bowling, a book club, whatever it is, you let people know what it is that you do and give. Whatever they need, just do as much giving as you possibly can. And that's today's lesson on how to make some connections. So thank you for joining me in this episode of Success Through Connections. And just remember that if you know somebody who's looking to buy or sell a home anywhere in the United States from coast to coast, I can get you connected to the top tier realtors across our nation, because my network is vast, my standards are very high, and your satisfaction is guaranteed. Until next time, I'm Zelda with Success Through Connections.